Oh, hey friends, Jack Norton here, coming to you to answer a very simple question. Should I book a show by Jack Norton? Well, the short answer is yes. You can stop the video right now if you want to, because you got your answer. But if you need to know more, keep on watching. I've got a long answer for you. Should you book a show by Jack Norton? Well, of course you should. Not only is he incredibly good looking, talented, amazing singer-songwriter, okay guitar player, he's also very humble. But besides all of that, he's been singing and playing his whole life. First instrument I ever got was a little toy xylophone when I was about 2 years old. Then when I was 5 or 6, I saw Chuck Berry play at the Minnesota State Fair. That changed my whole life. Started to beg my parents for a guitar and taught myself how to play the guitar, listening to old Buddy Holly and Elvis Presley and Chuck Berry records. And then I started going back in time. I found Howlin' Wolf, Muddy Waters, those guys, Cab Calloway. Then one night I was digging around in the upstairs attic of my folks' house. I was about 9 or 10, and I found this old picture right here. I'll put it up on the screen. Now that guy with an incredibly good fashion sense and a taste for shoes, well, that's my great-grandpa. I found out he was a vaudevillian back in New York City before moving here to Mullet River, Minnesota. And I found his old record collection, the old 78 RPM records. Well, I got obsessed with old 78s. I collected them like crazy. I was quite possibly the weirdest child you'd ever seen. Well, as fate would have it, the gal that lived across the street from me growing up in Minneapolis, well, she ended up dating a fella named Tiny Tim. Now, I imagine most folks watching this video won't know who the heck Tiny Tim is because you're all too young to know, but Tiny Tim had a song called Tiptoe Through the Tulips. Well, he moved in, got engaged, married my neighbor, and soon Tiny Tim became my babysitter. He also later in life became my friend, my mentor, gave me my first ukulele, taught me how to play ukulele. Well, it was around that time I found a guy named Leon Redbone was coming to town. Leon Redbone's an old blues man, folk singer. Plus, he sings the songs of just about every commercial you've ever seen in the 90s. This bud's for you. Well, anyhow, Leon turned out to be a really nice guy. Kind of took me under his wing, taught me how to pick some more on the guitar. Then he showed me guys like Blind Lemon Jefferson, Blind Willie McTell, Blind Blake, a whole lot of other great blind singers from the 1920s, old bluesmen. Leon was my guitar teacher. Tiny Tim was my ukulele teacher. And boy, if that doesn't tell you everything you need to know about how messed up I am today, I don't know what will. Oh, but seriously, I made my first record when I was 15 years old, went to the Purpose Center for Arts Education, flunked out of there. My principal and my music teacher said I'd never amount to nothing, never have a career in music. And, well, they were right about one thing. I never amounted to nothing, but I've had a career in music ever since. I've never worked a real job. I've just been picking and grinning my whole life, and I'd love to come and pick and grin for you. Now, what the heck is a Jack Norton show? Well, I bring my acoustic guitar. I bring my steel string national guitar, bring my harmonicas, bring my kazoo, bring my old stomp box. Sometimes I even blow a jug, and I also got a kazooaphone. That's a fancy instrument that Mr. Tampa Red, the old bluesman, he created that. You'll just have to see what it is. If you hire me, I'll show you. Anyhow, I bring all those things, and I sing and play. I can play all day if you want me to. Most folks like having me play a couple of sets, maybe 45-minute sets, 2 or 3 of those. 3 or 4 if you want, I don't care. Now, if I'm playing a theater, a performing arts center, well, the show's kind of like vaudeville in miniature. I tell a lot of bad jokes, have some sight gags, some props. Heck, if you got enough money, I'll even bring some other musicians with. We'll have a good old hootenanny. But most times, I just crisscross the country with my wife in my old pickup truck, playing a lot of bars, folk listening rooms and breweries, wineries, pubs, chicken coops, whatever you got, I'll play. Barn dances. Now, most breweries or bars or wineries, they like it when I sing a whole bunch of different songs. Sometimes I'll sing some old Johnny Cash, Hank Williams, Willie Nelson, Patsy Cline. Maybe because we're here in Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa, I'll throw in a polka. Heck, I've even been known to sing a Jamaican song because my wife's half Jamaican, so sometimes I start singing Bob Marley. I don't know what I'm doing. I like the Bobs. I like singing songs by Bob Marley, Bob Wills, Bob Dylan. He's a good old boy from Minnesota. Anyhow, I also wrote some tunes. I even won an Emmy Award once for a kid's song I wrote for PBS down in Nashville. Today, my wife uses that Emmy Award as a doorstop, so shows how much we think about that. But it's fun to have it. Anyhow, I'll sing some original songs. I'll sing some old blues songs. You know, speaking of old blues songs, there's a guy named Robert Johnson. He sold his soul to the devil down at the crossroads in Mississippi. Well, I ain't fixing to do that. I'll do just about anything to get a gig with you, but I'm not going to sell my soul to the devil. You know, they say Robert Johnson, he has a lost recording. It's gone. And if you know anything about the blues or American music, you know that Robert Johnson, well, he was king of the Delta blues. But you know what that lost record is? It's a cover song of a 1920s pop tune by Gene Austin called My Blue Heaven. That's what Robert Johnson recorded. Now you might be asking yourself, why the heck did this old blues man record some pop dribble from the 1920s? Well, he did it because he would sing on the streets and he'd sing in bars and clubs, and people would yell out the songs they want to hear. Well, I like that story because that's the same thing I do. If somebody yells out a song they want to hear, I'll try to play it. Helps if I know it, but either way, I'll try to play it. Point I'm making is I've spent decades now traveling around the country, playing for all sorts of folks. I know how to read a room. I know how to keep an audience entertained. I'll show up dressed clean, nice, professional, on time. I ain't gonna drink, I ain't gonna smoke, I ain't gonna do anything crazy. In fact, if you want to have a kids show, my wife and I have a kids show. We have kids YouTube channel. And we had a show on PBS for years. I was the co-host and co-creator of that show. And a lot of folks had me come into town and do a show for kids and families, and then have me do a show for grown-ups later in the night. Just one more option to throw out there. I don't know what the point is. I'm starting to ramble. You probably think there's a song coming. There ain't no song coming. I'm just playing a C chord over and over, seeing how long you'll watch me talk about myself. I don't know how long I'd watch me talk about myself, but hey, that's my story and I'm sticking to it. Half the year, my wife and I live in Minnesota, southern Minnesota, a little town called Mullet River, Minnesota. It's just outside of Winona, Minnesota, if you know where that is. Bluff country, the Driftless. That's where we are. And then, like every smart Minnesotan, half the year we leave and we head south. We live in Nashville. So, those are my two areas I like touring in. I get to Europe a couple times every year, picking and grinning. It's a good life, and I couldn't do it without you. I'll work with your budget. I'll make you happy. Hopefully I'll sell a lot of beer, make your pocketbook even happier. And if this is a theater, hopefully I'll sell some tickets, make your box office happy. Heck, it's all about having fun, being happy, and doing what you love. And I want to thank you so much for letting me do what I love. Hope to see you real soon. You can email me. It's jackandkittyxo@gmail.com. And you can probably guess that my wife signed us up for email. I probably wouldn't have picked that, but we're stuck with it. You can also call or text 818-233-0612. It's not even a dial a joke number. That's my real phone number, 818-233-0612. If you want to see my website, jacknortonmusic.com. jacknortonmusic.com. You want to see the kids' music site we've got? It's called thezinghoppers.com. Thezinghoppers.com. And as long as you seem to really like the internet, check out jackandkitty.com. That's my wife's travel blog. She travels with me. We get about 500,000 people that go to that site every single month. My wife is a big travel blogger. Usually she'll drop me off at a little town somewhere in the middle of nowhere here in the Midwest or down south, and I'll go play a gig and she'll go write an article about your town. We like avoiding big cities. We like small towns. Heartland of America, real folks. This is real music played by a real guy who's having a real good time in life. Hope to see you real soon. God bless. Oh man, did you get to the end of that video? Oof da. That's Minnesotan for a good job.